So today I want to hone in on the idea of mental models, and that's just a recent term that I've not necessarily discovered. I've heard about it, but I've never really gotten deep into it to understand how it relates into what I'm doing currently. And so I want to dive deeper into mental models. A mental model essentially is the perception about the way a product works based on what already exists.
The best way to explain this is with an example. Early 2016, Fiat Chrysler automobiles recalled over 1 million vehicles due to a new shifter design called the rocket switch gear shift. What happened was people were getting out of their cars thinking the shifter was in park to have the car drive off without them.
Oh, no.
And this led to at least 100 crashes, 40 injuries, possibly worse, though we can't prove that. If you're making something and the people you're making it for don't understand how it works, that's not their fault, right?
So if you were to try to reinvent that format of how cars are designed, the person driving the car would have to take longer to understand what you have changed. And if that individual has more than one car of different models, then when driving your car, they would automatically fall into the model that has become second nature to them. And thus, driving a car would take extra energy or extra mental practice to remember the things that you've changed, and many accidents would be caused on the road. It wouldn't be safe for people to sort of use that car because it's not fitting into what they perceive a car or how they perceive a car's format should be. And so too with things like websites or applications, there's a certain format that has taken place in the industry that many people now understand to be the norm. And so in the attempt to think differently, to implement things differently, now you would be breaking what people think is a norm. And obviously you can do this if you do it well. However, a mental model is emphasizing that it's easier to get people to adopt something if they feel that they already know how to use it. So in terms of now linking this back into something like innovation, you would have to find different areas in which to innovate, whether that's the use of visuals, maybe even if it is the navigation, is there any way that you can link it back into what people already understand to be the norm and have an unexpected element that enhances their experience of your product? Okay, so now I'm going to try to find a couple of websites that break the norm without compromising on standard practice or the current mental models of how a website works, but also add that element of thinking differently. And you will see that they usually actually do this in terms of how you interact with the website. The expected input of the user is different, and the experience is just so much more enhanced. And then I think it would be a good idea to also check metrics on what's the performance of that website, because obviously that will, if I can get a hold of that information, that will determine the effectiveness of it as well. But also that has to also be linked to the purpose of the website as well. So I would like to take a look at that and see how mental models relate back to don't compromise on innovation, and then vice versa. So that's today's lesson.